Hello, welcome to a tutorial provided by CCE Thesis Dissertation Writing Consultants at the Center for Communication Excellence of the Graduate College. In this tutorial, you will be introduced to the journal paper format. This will be a helpful tutorial for those of you who have manuscripts or journal articles within their thesis or dissertation. In general, the structure of the preliminary pages of the journal paper format is the same as the traditional thesis or dissertation format. However, the main chapters are organized differently. The first chapter must always be titled General Introduction, and the last chapter must always be titled General Discussion or General Conclusion. The chapters in between the General Introduction and General Discussion or Conclusion are the manuscript chapters. Note that the number of manuscripts that you include depend on the expectations of your major professor and committee members. These manuscript chapters will need to be formatted in a specific way. Firstly, the title of the chapter will be the title of your manuscript. Following the chapter title is the author or authors, if you have multiple authors, and their affiliations. The Graduate College does not require that you are first author on the manuscripts that you include in your thesis or dissertation. However, your department, program, and/or major professors may have stronger requirements. Right underneath the authors and affiliations information is this wording, which will depend on the status of your manuscript. If it has not been published, the wording will be modified from a manuscript to be submitted to. You will need to supply the journal name, but you are not obligated to submit to the journal that you stated in your thesis or dissertation if you plan to submit your manuscript in the future. If it has been submitted to the journal but still under review, the wording will be modified from a manuscript under review in. Similarly, if the manuscript was not accepted, feel free to submit it elsewhere, even though this was not your target journal for your thesis or dissertation. If a manuscript has been published, then the statement should be modified from a manuscript published in. Immediately following the statement is the first section of the manuscript, which is the abstract, and this section does not start on a new page. All manuscript chapters should start with an abstract. The abstract is heading 2. All other section names after this can follow the required sections in your target journal. The last section of each manuscript chapter should be references unless you have an appendix or appendices. The references section is heading 2 and should not start on a new page. In other words, all sections should flow continuously from the previous section. If you have multiple chapters with different target journals which have different citation styles, you can keep the required citation styles of those journals. In other words, the citation styles can be different in each manuscript chapter. An exception applies to the references in the General Introduction and General Discussion or Conclusion chapters, if any, in which they will need to use the same citation styles. For example, if you use APA for the citations in the General Introduction chapter, you will also need to use APA for the citations in the General Discussion or Conclusion chapter. An appendix in your manuscript chapter is not required, but if you need one, it must be included as a heading 2 after the references for that chapter. It should not start on a new page. If you have only one appendix in a manuscript chapter, the heading should be written as Appendix, followed by the title. If you have multiple appendices in a chapter, the first appendix should be written as Appendix A, followed by the title. The second appendix will be Appendix B, followed by the title, and so on. If you also have appendices in other chapters, you should start the lettering schema over in each of those chapters. Regarding tables and figures, Some journals prefer that you have a separate section at the end of the manuscript for your tables and figures instead of having them embedded within the text. This is fine, and you can keep this formatting. You will need to include a table and figures section header formatted using heading 2 before the references section in that manuscript. As for the formatting of the tables and figures, you will still need to be consistent throughout all chapters in your thesis or dissertation and follow the minimum formatting requirements. Please see the thesis or dissertation checklist on the Graduate College website. This means if you include chapter numbers in the tables and figures of one manuscript chapter, you will need to do so for all manuscript chapters. This is the end of the Formatting Your Journal Paper chapter tutorial. Please view other available video tutorials to learn more about formatting your thesis or dissertation using the word template.